Hey everybody, Brad Johnson here. Just here to kind of give my take on the latest presidential debate. So, it was on CNN. If you watched it, you are going to know exactly what I'm talking about here. Because to me, it was really centered on personal attacks and quarrels between individual candidates. I mean, while it's true that we need to learn the differences between those running, those personal quarrels are not going to provide tax relief or secure our borders or protect us from a nuclear Iran. I mean, the first several minutes of the debate was spent on things other candidates had said regarding Donald Trump. It didn't take me long to get frustrated with this. I mean, after all, was this about the issues or just what our personal opinions are about Trump? And Governor Scott Walker, I think he got it right when he interjected and he said, "This is what's wrong with this debate. We're not talking about the real issues." And Governor Kasich also pointed out, and I'm afraid many agreed with him, that if he'd been sitting watching it at home, the first 10 minutes, he would have been inclined to just turn it off. People want to hear plans for confronting real issues. And then we had some discussion on why outsiders are leading the polls and not politicians. And Ben Carson said it all when he said, "The pundits forgot about one thing, and that's the people. They are who is really in charge." After all that and more back and forth between Jeb and Trump, we finally got down to some real issues here. Foreign policy. And Rubio, I think, really expertly pointed out Russia's power-hungry ambitions, and we found out Carla Fiorina would not be having any dealings with Vladimir Putin, and I think Ted Cruz really hit the nail on the head here regarding the Iran deal. And now the next issue, in the interest of forthrightness, I just have to say Jeb Bush has never been my candidate of choice. However, when the discussion turned to Kim Davis, who's the county clerk from Rowan County, Kentucky, Bush said something that I believe should disqualify him from this race. I could not believe it. He said, and this is a quote, "But this woman, Kim Davis, there should be some accommodation for her conscience, just as there should be for people that are florists and don't want to participate in weddings or bakers." End quote. Any transaction that is not voluntary between both parties involved is nothing less than coercion. We do not need accommodations for florists or bakers that do not wish to, for deeply held religious convictions, do not wish to participate in so-called gay marriages. We have accommodations for that, Mr. Bush, and it's called the First Amendment, the freedom of religion. As president, he would be swearing to uphold the Constitution. However, apparently, he needs to read it some more. So then we moved on to a real issue that needs talked about more than is being talked about. Planned Parenthood. The lack of action and concern that this nation has shown regarding their illegal activities is nothing less than shameful callousness. Cruz, Christie, Fiorina, they got it right. This is worth fighting for. Who cares if Obama vetoes the bill that would defund Planned Parenthood? The blood of those babies is on his hands if he chooses to do so. But if those with the power to act, and they don't act, they don't even put the bill on Obama's desk, then they bear the responsibility. As Christie put it well when he said, "Let's force him to do what he says he will do." And I have to quote Fiorina here as well. She said, in this quote, "I dare Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama to watch these tapes. Watch a fully formed fetus on the table, its heart beating, its legs kicking, while someone says that we have to keep it alive so we can harvest its brain." This is about the character of this nation, and if we do not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill, shame on us. Unquote. We're never going to get anything done if we have leaders who are afraid of potential failure. Republicans have control of the House and the Senate, and yet nothing happens. We have to put the pressure on. Things have to change. So then we moved on to immigration. Honestly, I was quite disappointed with the responses here. I thought there was a lot of mumbo-jumbo, and it's not that hard. One, the 14th Amendment does not give birthright citizenship. It was one of the Reconstruction Amendments after the Civil War, and anyone who's done 8th grade history knows this. It was an amendment passed to provide rights to recently freed slaves. That's it. And two, if you're in this country illegally, you have broken the law and therefore have no right to be here. 3, if we have a system where in order to be employed or receive government assistance, or any other type of money, you'd have to provide your citizenship, proof of your citizenship, then there would be no money or government assistance or work for illegal immigrants. If there's no work and no money, they're going to deport themselves. The one thing that most candidates did get right, though, is that we have to secure our borders. So, it's not that difficult, people. It's not that difficult. So then we had some very personal battles between Fiorina and Trump discussing their records as business people. And the question being, who could create more jobs? And I hate to break it to them, but I read the Constitution and I don't see anywhere in there where it's government's job to create jobs. Can someone show me that? Because I don't see it. We need a tax and regulation system that promotes growth. Yes, but government doesn't create jobs. It just doesn't happen. And that's actually where the next subject went, was taxes. We have Huckabee promoting a consumption tax and doing away with penalizing tax on productivity. We have Carson with his 10% tax and Rand Paul with 14.5% flat tax. Then we have Trump wanting to stick it to those rich hedge fund guys and make them pay their fair share. I really, really loved what Carson had to say here. He said, quote, what made America into a great nation was the fact that we said that guy just put in $1 billion. Let's create an environment that's even more conducive to his success so that next year he can put in $2 billion. And that's the kind of thing that helps us grow. We can't grow by continuing to take a piece of a pie and dividing it and redistributing it. I'm talking to American people because one of the things we must recognize is that this country is of, for, and by the people. And that it's really time that the government get out of the way and let the people be the ones who decide how they want to run their country. Unquote. At this point, I don't think Americans really care what happens with the tax system as long as we pay less in taxes. We want to see that change on our paycheck every week, where we get to keep more of what we have broken our backs to earn. Then there were some shots at Clinton and back and forth between Rubio and Trump about Trump's lack of foreign policy experience, and Bush was accused of following in his brother's footsteps with his choice of foreign advisors. Then there was quite a bit about Iraq and the Middle East, and I'm afraid that most Americans either tuned out or just got lost in the middle of it. And let me tell you why I think this. There are few of us who actually know who the active characters in the Middle East are, and even if we did know them, we probably couldn't pronounce their names. So specifics are good, and I'm not downplaying that, but when we're trying to get across to the American public our message, then we need to know what the general policy is going to be. If there's a threat to the United States, it needs to be dealt with swiftly and nothing short of victory in mind. I think Governor Walker said it well when he said, if we do go to war, then you, the military, will know you have our full support, the support of the American people, and you'll have a clear path to victory. So Cruz and Huckabee then had some great things to say on their nominee for Supreme Court and what that would look like. Then Bush, Paul, Fiorina, and Christie went the rounds on marijuana legalization, which was quite interesting. I don't think anyone really won the argument, but I think Fiorina made some excellent points concerning states' rights and the incarceration rate in this country. So then the conversation turned to guns, and I think Rubio really summed it up nicely by saying, and this is a quote here again, first of all, the only people that follow the law are law-abiding people. Criminals, by definition, ignore the law. So you can pass all the gun laws in the world, like the left wants, the criminals are going to ignore it because they are criminals, unquote. So then we went on to climate change, vaccines, Social Security. They were all discussed, and I think most of the candidates hit the nail on the head by making clear that the answer is not more government involvement. That is not the answer, and I think most of the candidates really pointed that out. So then we got some lighthearted questions to explore who candidates want to put on the $20 bill. Fiorina came back with the best answer there by far. Then what would their secret service code name be and stuff like that. So the final series of questions were regarding what each of the candidates want their presidential legacy to be. And while I don't agree with all these candidates on everything, I think every one of these candidates on the stage laid out what I believe is every American's wish list. Lower taxes, freedom from Obamacare, a stronger America, internationally and domestically, more freedom, less government, etc. And that's what we want. That's what we need. My recommendation, after watching this debate, is give it some time. And let's see which one of those candidates walks what they talk. This has been Brad Johnson. Thanks for watching.